inside everything.
All right. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Strategy Inside Everything. We have a special treat. We have brought in a new voice from outside the world of strategy. Amen. Today, joining us from the wonderful world of internet culture is Taylor Lorenz. She is a staff writer at The Atlantic who covers internet culture. Taylor, thank you so much for making time for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We had to work a little bit. You had some train trouble the other day, but we finally got it worked out.
I'm always having train drama. I live in New York, so.
Yeah, that could be its own. There could be memes that focus on train drama. I'm surprised we don't see more.
There are. Yeah, there's a whole Facebook group called something for transit-oriented teens. I can't remember.
No, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole on that as soon as we're off this call. Well, thanks again for making time. For the few people listening that are probably may not be familiar with your writing, you want to give them a background on who you are and what you've done?
Yeah, sure. So I currently work at The Atlantic, and I write about internet culture, social media, a lot of meme stuff, basically tech from the user perspective. So any like all the different ways people use technology to communicate and connect. That's what I do now. It's great.
Excellent. And I found this article that you wrote, which had me reaching out to you as I was researching for another project that you wrote for The Atlantic about the speed of memes and how kind of the speed of the internet is accelerating at a breakneck pace. Do you want to, I know that article was a few months old, but if you want to recap it and then we can start beating it up.
Sure. Well, it's like, I would argue even more true now. But basically, what I wrote about was how memes are kind of coming and going faster than ever. So the lifespan of like a joke on the internet or a meme has shortened significantly over the past 10 years. So back in 2010, there would be something that would be a meme on Tumblr for months. Now most things sort of can come and go in a matter of days even. And that was one part of my story, but then the broader part of my story was sort of how that affects people. So how that affects creators, but more importantly, like how it affects people that monetize these memes. So I just wrote about the Instagram egg too, the most, the world record egg on Instagram and its struggle to monetize. And basically that there's a really short window where you can monetize a meme. Otherwise it gets old. So
I was just totally captivated. So there's so many different ways to take this story because in your article, it goes into the people that monetize the memes. And then I started realizing, the creators that might come up with an idea or publish something, not necessarily the same people that monetize it. There's just a group of people that are hawks for new themes and new jokes and new memes, new stories that they'll put on all kinds of merch and get it up with the speed of light. But that ecosystem is breaking down just because you can't produce the stuff fast enough that by the time it's delivered to me 2 days later, that meme is like, I've already forgotten that thing.
Totally. It's kind of like, the sad truth of the internet is that almost never do the people who kind of create the memes or are responsible for stuff get paid. We've seen that with like Fortnite, famously kind of capitalized on a lot of memeable dances. Now they're under a lawsuit because the creators of these dances are like, hey, I actually invented flossing and, I deserve to get paid for this big cultural phenomenon. With people trying to monetize memes, a lot of it's through e-commerce. So like you'll see something funny and then they'll want to put it on a t-shirt or like make a plushie or sell something related to it. And just with, standard production and shipping schedules, it's hard to sell any kind of actual like meme merchandise anymore. Like Urban Outfitters was kind of famous for selling a lot of this stuff 5 years ago.
They used to be on the spot with it and make it really relevant and seemingly surprisingly timely to me that it would be like, oh, wow, that happened pretty quickly that they got that in the store.
Yeah, and that was like their whole merchandising strategy, but they've shifted to a lot more kind of like novelty, broad sort of stuff more recently. They still do a lot of like trend buying, but it's hard to do the kind of reactive stuff that they did, previously, where they had like a shithead Steve shirt or whatever.
And don't you think, as I've observed that from your article, I started following some of these merchandisers and stores and trying to figure out where they're going, and it kind of devolves into almost like mom Facebook memes, where it's the lowest common denominator of just like, wine is great, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, okay, we get some e-cards. We've already seen these jokes.
That's exactly what it is. It's like old some e-cards jokes that will just never die. Or it's like the kind of stuff that you see, you know, like people hawking at like Hot Topic or something. They're kind of just these stupid jokes. They're not really like memes.
It's super duper generic, right? They have to do what big brands do to hit a larger audience, right? They have to get unspecific and get more broad to make any sense to anybody.
Yeah.
So,
which is sad.
It is sad, because some of those things really, the reason I love memes is because they tickle a very specific part of my sense of humor, or get me thinking in a very unique way that now it's just like, oh, here's the thing that I've already thought 2,000 times that's probably already existed on a poster in a men's room at a pub for 200 years.
Yeah, exactly.
which is actually the lowest form of comedy. I don't know if you knew that.
Fair enough.
It's true. So the question then, I have so many questions, and I'm so delighted that I have someone that can answer some of these questions. People that are creating these things, right? Mm-hmm. You said, and I know this is true, and I think our listeners know this is true, the people who create things on the internet rarely get paid for it, right? They're rarely the person who monetizes it. Who is behind there? It seems like there's a small group of people that generates a lot of these ideas. I find it on weird Twitter, and I find it from scrolling Reddit and trying to find weird subreddits. Why are they doing it? Just for the lulls? Like, we're just trying to make ourselves laugh?
Why are people making stuff on the internet?
Well, why are they making deliberately? It seems like there's a group of people that are producing memes specifically that are trying to get the thing to go.
Yeah, go viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like fun. I mean, I don't know. It's memes, especially today, are more participatory than ever. So people like to see a joke and then make their own riff on it. Like, it's kind of just a way of expressing yourself. So, you know, people make memes and stuff for all types of reasons, but I'm thinking of like big things like the Bird Box memes, or, you know, whatever. It's like the big sort of cultural moment at the time. Like, you want to provide your own commentary about it. You want to make your own joke about it. And memes are just a really effective way to do that.
And so is there an uproar when they see something that they create? I mean, I could see that they sued Fortnite. Like, Backpack Kid came after Fortnite along with 20 other people, and rightfully so. But if I created something on Reddit and it got picked up and it got transmogrified into some other format, and now it's being sold on someone's e-store,
right?
Do they chase it down, or is it just like, oh, well, there's another one?
I mean, it depends. It depends on the person. It's kind of hard, and I think the legality of all of this is all being worked out. I think memes more and more, like, I guess the formats of them are evolving. So whereas they used to be like a stock photo and somebody could actually claim credit for that stock photo, like the guy, looking around, like the
distracted boyfriend.
Distracted boyfriend.
I actually have that up on my screen right now from your article.
Yeah. I mean, that's an example of like, clearly a photographer took that picture and like, was he able to monetize, the success of it? Not really. But it's kind of just a badge, I guess, that he can wear now. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that do eventually get paid for their creative work are people that have enough privilege to like file a lawsuit, hire a lawyer, really chase it down. So like, I mean, famously, the girl who invented the word like on fleek, or she made the Vine that was like eyebrows on fleek, was never really credited with it, never received any money from it, because she just was this sort of young teenager, and no one
appalling. It's appalling. It's actually it's in the book that I'm trying to finalize, that how she posted that video, and then within 3 weeks there's a Taco Bell CMO standing at a podium using on fleek incorrectly with just a totally straight face, like, this is just a term that we all use and we all know it, and everybody's like, what are you talking about? You just lifted that from that poor girl's video that got shared around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when I read the initial story, the memes are becoming harder to monetize, which obviously I'll link in the show notes. I'm trying to decide if you are sympathetic to the e-commerce businesses or more sympathetic to the people that create these things. And
Well, there's not a huge distinction. A lot of these people, like the people that work in this e-commerce space, are also a lot of like big memers themselves. I mean, Jason Wong, who like has this one meme store, he's kind of like famously monetized a lot of memes over the years, is also a huge like Tumblr meme kid and like created this really successful Tumblr meme network in his teenage years. So, it's kind of a really blurry line. And I think, I mean, memes are just becoming part of culture, and it's hard. I mean, it's kind of like the argument over who owns a Twitter joke. A lot of times even, somebody will post the first joke to Twitter, but they've seen it even on Instagram, or it's a joke they heard, or it's actually a comedian's joke. Like it's really hard to kind of like determine who was the originator of some of these trends or jokes or formats. And so, it can be hard. I'm kind of sympathetic to everyone involved, but obviously like the big brands, I'm sort of less sympathetic to because they're just trying to exploit stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that sympathetic to Urban Outfitters, for example. That's
no,
kind of
but
just
your
picking it up.
creators, like some of the creators that have tried to monetize their own memes, like I'm sympathetic to them.
I am too. And how can they, in your estimation, having these conversations, how are they reacting to the speed? I mean, what it's not like there's a model for this anyway. It's just
Trying to do other stuff. I mean, like the internet, sort of like, well, the internet always finds a way, but also I think like people trying to make money always find a way. Like, let's just monetize in a different way, or try to, create custom merch with a tagline from their page. So it kind of depends, but it's hard, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, one of the memes I'm really chuckling about now is the Reddit meme about not letting memes get to Instagram. That is cracking me up right now.
Yeah. It's crazy what the impact that Instagram's had on meme culture. It's like helped a lot of stuff go mainstream, I think.
It's helped a lot of stuff, but it's also, it's started some good conversations about, well,
it's
ownership.
destroyed a lot of stuff too.
Yeah,
I mean,
that too. Go ahead.
I think it's funny to have seen norms change though. Like Fuck Jerry gets called out a lot for stealing jokes, same with the Fat Jew.
Yeah.
And they definitely did that, but they stopped doing it. Like, I mean, pretty much like they include attribution in all of their stuff. They still keep the person's name in when they screenshot a tweet. I do think that has that the norms around that have shifted a lot.
And it takes the community to tell people, hey, you can't do that. That's crappy. And then they stop doing it. But they did recognize it.
No, but I think it's other big accounts too, like Kill Salad, that like really pioneered some of this like attribution stuff that was like, hey, look, follow me. I'm actually the good meme account because I include people's pictures that I, screenshot from or tag them. And I think communities saw that and sort of it ended up changing the norm. But I'm sure it'll continue to evolve as everyone kind of figures this stuff all out.
Yeah, and I've been paying more attention to how individual creators or individual people have an allegiance to a channel or a platform until I'm trying to figure out what the tipping point is when they go, no, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this anymore. And Vine seems like ancient history, but that thing swallowed up a lot of creators with it who just disappeared overnight when the service shut down. And I'm surprised so many people are still like, I'm all in on Instagram or, Reddit's my platform and I don't want anything I do to go anywhere else. It's interesting to see how people hold that loyalty.
Yeah, completely. I think it's like, I think the connection that people have with some of these creators, like digital creators, is really deep, and it can take a lot to break that bond.
In your opinion, is that loyalty to the community that's there, or is it something about the platform they understand the mechanics of it particularly well? Like, I know how Instagram works, so I'm not leaving until they shut it down or make me stop.
I don't know. Wait, do you mean loyalty to the platform or loyalty to the creator on the platform?
I mean, is the creator loyal to the platform or to other users?
No creator, no smart creator would ever be loyal to a platform. I mean, I think Vine was like a cautionary tale. I mean, so many of the top Viners are all top YouTubers now because they left Vine. But like you said, a lot of other creators got left in the dust. And so I think like pretty much any modern smart creator nowadays is like no way. Like as soon as you get an audience on one place, you're like, get on my other, like, don't just follow me here, follow me here, follow me here, follow me everywhere else. Right. I'm like that for sure. I mean, even as a journalist, like I don't like having all my followers on Twitter. It freaks me out. I'm trying to get more followers on Instagram, I'm trying to do other things. You never want to over leverage yourself on one platform.
We will add a link to your Instagram.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, nobody find Taylor on Twitter. You got to find her on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, follow me wherever, but just follow me everywhere.
Well, you never know what's going to happen with any of these crazy platforms.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, they're going to be hauled up in front of Congress, and the platform's just going to be defanged and can't do anything for you anymore.
Exactly.
So where do you see this going? It's obviously the internet has never gotten slower. So what do you think are some of the ways that creators and these e-commerce stores, because this is the first time it feels for the e-commerce stores that you describe as a step back. The content is worse. The products are worse. It's actually hurting them. You can see that they can't get the ideas to market fast enough.
I know. I think things will evolve. I mean, I think everything kind of like evolves and changes, and as one thing gets shut down, people migrate to another thing. I mean, obviously there's people that'll lose out along the way, but then there's people that'll make, that are going to take advantage of new opportunities as new things spring up. I mean, I think people are still monetizing memes, but I think it's different now. I mean, more recently, I think we've seen more like basically people come up with sponsored memes or like capitalize on meme trends. Like Netflix will capitalize on the fact that everyone's sharing Bird Box memes and try to stoke that. Drake, in order to launch his In My Feelings challenge, will pay a bunch of top memers to basically participate in the meme. So things like that, where brands are sort of like working more proactively to start the memes themselves and monetize it, seems to be like a trend, I guess.
And in that model, so I know there was controversy around Netflix and Bird Box, and were they?
They weren't.
They weren't. You say this for sure. You say that's
I know
definitive.
this. I reported on it. I reported this extensively. Like,
I love this.
No. Well, people were like, "Oh, Bird Box or Netflix made a bot network to make memes." Like, what? No, they absolutely did not. And actually, the person who started that rumor like retracted it very publicly on Twitter. So no, but did they totally capitalize on the fact that people were making these memes? Of course, like they loved that the Bird Box challenge was happening, and they were gonna talk about that on their social channels for sure. But they didn't start that meme. What they did is give it premium placement, on their sort of like front page of their app when everyone was home, and drive people to watch it, which leads people to start conversation around it. But
that top box on their app has got to be some of the most valuable media in the world.
Yeah, completely. And I couldn't go anywhere on that app for like a week. I was like on my Apple TV trying to watch everything else, and it was just like Bird Box, Bird Box, Bird Box. So that promotion is worth way more than, a couple memes.
Did you watch the movie, by the way? I did not.
Yeah, I did.
Was it good?
Fine. Yeah, I like my bar for movies is so low, so I like it.
I like it. So let's talk about brands using memes, because that's an area of interest for me and I think for our audience. First question, in the case of Netflix or in the case of any of the brands you mentioned just before we started talking about this, is it just a standard influencer thing where they say, hey, we want to work with you, you come up with an idea and we'll help support it? Or they program, did Drake go and say, this is what I want to do for the In My Feelings challenge? Or did he just kind of leverage something that was happening out in the world and he just piled on and started?
Yeah, no, he kind of started. I mean, it's like a very wishy-washy thing, because a lot of this is so user generated. So even brands that will try to start a meme, it gets taken over by the community pretty quickly and, made into something else. So like, I think more people are trying to like, basically like direct the memes, I guess. Like they'll be like, oh, we hope people use it this way, or we hope people do this specific challenge this way. I mean, challenge culture is a big part of TikTok, where a lot of memes are coming from now.
Mm-hmm.
And so and TikTok has a whole ad offering that actually Carrie Flynn at Digiday reported on today of, how they go out to advertisers basically saying like, look, if you want to start a viral challenge or meme, like this is how we can do it. And these are the influencers that are on our platform that we can work with you, to promote it. So yeah, it's getting more orchestrated. So in that sense, I don't blame people for thinking that a lot of the Bird Box stuff was orchestrated, because so often it is, just not in the way that you think.
Well, I got embroiled in a Twitter argument with around the Netflix Bird Box thing where
Oh my God, me too. A million arguments.
I
What
know.
were you saying?
Well, isn't it frustrating? You just make one stupid comment or you like something and all of a sudden you're pulled into it. I mean, you're reporting on it, so you're
Story of my life. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, just stop typing, you idiot. You're gonna get pulled into this dumb waste of time.
Yeah.
But the conversation was, people were saying, okay, Netflix is committing fraud by making these memes or getting these memes shared on accounts that are not transparently Netflix. But to my mind, Netflix is distributing fiction as their business model, right? They do have some documentaries,
Yes.
but entertainment. So is it even wrong for Netflix to create more fiction around, like when it's Bandersnatch, we're all like, oh, it's choose your own adventure. It's clever, but technically isn't engaging in the meme part of a choose your own adventure that just happens off the main platform?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the thing is, like, Netflix didn't make those memes.
Well, that's a secondary. Yeah, never mind.
Like, yeah, no, totally. But I mean, yeah, like participating in like public discourse and stuff is like, wait, what is your argument? Sorry. I'm like, my brain is fried. I'm so tired.
No, that's how confusing it is, because it's like Inception. Would it be wrong for them to create it and put it out there on, with some other fake accounts? Like, who gives a shit?
Oh, well, first of all, they didn't do that. They couldn't do that. You're right. I mean, no, it probably wouldn't be wrong. I mean, but like, it would be lame, I guess. It would be lame. But I mean, if they created the accounts, it would be pointless too, because like, if you create accounts, they're like the ideal thing. Like, if you just create a bunch of accounts that post random memes, like they're not going to actually drive any conversation. So it would be pointless. It would be lame, and it would be a huge waste of time. Like what you want is to work with these influencers or big meme accounts to actually seed these memes to their audience. That's more valuable. So, and also that way, like they'll create it in a way that resonates with their audience. Because like if Netflix just makes a bunch of memes, like what audience are they making the memes for? That's really important, and if they don't have an audience, if they're just creating weird accounts, like, I mean, it would just be so pointless. So, so you kind of have to work with somebody that has an audience and whose audience expects memes.
Yeah. The world of influencer participation and co-creation is a challenging place for brands.
Murky. I know.
Because especially the other side of the Netflix argument is, why on earth would they stoop to do that when they control so much of the cultural conversation?
They don't have to. That's the thing. Like, they don't have to. And I think that they've proven this time and time again. When they release some big thing, like the marketing push around it is so strong. They don't have to like get into like these weird nitty gritty things trying to like, like basically they didn't even post memes on their main Instagram account. They created an Instagram account specifically for Bird Box and never posted a single meme on that Instagram account. Like, they don't need to do that because they have this huge, powerful machine and they have distribution. Netflix's distribution is through their app. So, they don't need to like do a lot of this other stuff. They know that it will be part of the cultural conversation, and that's what memers do. They want to talk about the big movie release, or whatever.
And look at the Ted Bundy tapes, I think is what it's called.
Oh my God, yeah. Also, I mean, they love it. Like, don't get me wrong, they love it. Like their tweets, like, "Hey guys, like, there's a lot of other people other than Ted Bundy who are hot." Like, that's ripping on the fact that the joke has been that like everyone thinks Ted Bundy is really hot, I guess.
That's so gross.
So I know, it's so weird. I haven't even seen the show yet, but they acknowledge that, and they're kind of like trying to distance themselves for it, but by promoting it to their audience. Like, they're still promoting it. It's like when they were like, nobody do the bird box challenge meme. Everyone be careful. It's like, yeah, okay, you just like brought this meme's attention to a wider audience. So
Exactly. But the truth is they could do very little and still get a lot of the attention just because the platform is so huge.
exactly.
They don't need this shit. They,
Yeah,
they
totally,
don't need to be
totally
messing
agree.
around here. So that's what's interesting, but they're unique. Then you have brands like McDonald's that are so thirsty
Oh my
for
God.
the
All these
love
consumer
of the
brands.
masses.
I
And
know.
every time McDonald's does anything on social, everybody just spams it and destroys it within 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like all of them, Wendy's, Denny's. I think their strategy is a little bit tired.
Let's discuss. Now you've
Well, no
piqued my
shade.
interest.
First of all, I used to do social media for brands, so I know how it is. I think like they're just not really experimental, and the whole conversational Twitter presence is kind of lame in a sort of late capitalism type world that we're living in now. Like, I think people just think it's kind of lame. Like their strategy, which is basically like snarky replies on Twitter, that to me, that era of snarky replies on Twitter, I think peaked in like 2015, and
Right, we're
it
past
sort of
it.
declined. So I think that they need to do, sort of look at what the next iteration of that will be.
Well,
And I think
you got into another argument that I ended up with on Twitter
that I'm
because
always getting in arguments. What did I say?
no, yeah, I think you and I are probably in the same arguments on this one because I said it's past, it's lame. However, Wendy's in particular just in the last 6 months changed their television strategy to have that same snarky attitude. For a long time, they were totally separate brands, the Twitter
Yeah.
persona versus their mass media persona. But now their TV ads are essentially no voiceover, text on a screen that are making fun of their competitors and has the same tone. So I wonder, even though I think it's passe, I wonder if it's driving sales or having some kind of effect. At least it's different than what the other brands are doing.
Oh, I think it's less and less different. I also think it's a very weird strategy to have in like 2019 when like snark and divisiveness are everywhere. It's like, do you really need a brand also starting fights online? Like there's like 10,000 Nazis that will do that for you. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the integration of a TV campaign with a social presence, I think is a strong thing. I think one thing that brands have failed to recognize is that they recognize it more now, but I think they used to sort of have these two separate things, and they treated their social presence as this sort of throwaway. And I think now people are realizing it is the sort of the main way that consumers engage with the brand. So it's great to see those strategies aligned, but I think they're going to need a new take, at least by 2020.
Yeah, I have a feeling I hope they're already realizing that.
Yeah.
But who the hell knows?
Who knows? I don't know what's going on over at Wendy's HQ.
I'm going to text him. I'll text him right after this. So given that the speed of things is changing online and it's never going to slow down. I don't see a way that it would. This show is for people who work inside brands and agencies. How can we adjust? How can we adapt to the speed? So if you're Wendy's and you're looking forward and you're going, well, this strategy is not working, but by the time we land on the next strategy, it also won't be working.
Yeah, I hope that no one listening works for Wendy's. If you do, no shade again. Well, so when I worked in a strategy role, I used to do social media strategy and worked for a bunch of agencies on a bunch of brands. The hard thing, at least for people that work in agencies, I think, is selling stuff into a client and working on sort of an accelerated timeline. So I think it's important to work with clients who give you like liberty to kind of be experimental and try things. If you're in-house at a brand, I think it's also it's the same thing. It's like getting buy-in, I think, is the problem. That's what can take time. And you all, it's like you see these brands on Twitter that are like just so late. It's like 4 days later, and then they finally have like come out with their like Instagram egg commentary. And it's like, dude, that was like 3 days ago. And so I think being reactive, but also not just seeming like being smart about it, and recognizing that you don't have to actually like rush to have a take on every single viral phenomenon. Just like wait, establish yourself, be yourself online, and like, come in if it feels right, but don't just like hop on everything either.
It's kind of like if you can't act quickly, just don't act.
Just don't. If you can't act quickly, and if it isn't a natural thing, like if your, persona wouldn't naturally kind of like engage, there's no reason. Like just because something is blowing up, doesn't mean that you have to get involved in it.
Yeah, that's very, very good advice, and I hope people will take that. Two more questions. We're rounding third here because I know you have to get off for another call. But you wrote an article today about the egg, the stupid, cursed egg, and I read somewhere, and I can't remember if it was your quote or somewhere else. Somewhere at Vayner Media, they said the egg could be worth like $10 million.
Yeah.
Oh, Kyle Bunch. Yeah. Okay. So.
He's great. He gave the best quote that got cut out. So like, I just want to give his quote, which was like, he was like basically like saying the same thing, sort of that it's worth it to engage in this if it makes sense for your brand, but you kind of had to have done a lot of legwork already. Like you can't just come in the last moment and then like try to make, try to like pop out and make something good. He compared it to the ending of Lost, where he was like, this is something that like has built up for so long. Everyone is excited about. And then like, if you come in and try to write the ending, you're going to let people down. So unless it's really good. Yeah, Kyle was like, I wish more of his quotes got in that article because he gave a lot of really smart perspective on it.
Oh, that's funny. I'm trying to get him on the show. So we'll compare notes after this.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a quote right there, 10 million. So do you really think that it's going to build that kind of big take or what? I mean, that sounds crazy.
Nick at Vayner Media said that. Other people, I mean, to be fair, other people said it was also in the millions, and the number that was floated around for the Need to Impeach campaign was in the millions, although they never got to the point of negotiating price. Do I think it's worth that? I don't know. I mean, potentially not. I think it completely depends on the activation and who knows? Like, I think actually the idea which Jerry Media came up with, which was to partner with this nonprofit called Need to Impeach, and they wanted the Instagram egg to crack, have the words impeach Trump pop out, and then Donald Trump doing the chicken dance. That is insane. And it is so crazy that it would have gotten a lot of press and actually probably been good. Like if it cracks and there's like M&Ms inside, that's going to be lame. But if it's something that's like just so out of left field and actually takes like a strong, maybe like cause oriented type of thing, or like a political stance, like that's like pretty interesting.
But any brand, like if it's any logo,
if it's some lame logo,
yeah,
I'm gonna hate it and write.
Everybody's gonna crap on it. If it's Ronald McDonald pops out of it or something, it's just gonna be a disaster. So
yeah, but I mean, the fact that we're talking about it and the fact that everyone is waiting to see, I think speaks to the fact that it probably is worth a lot. I mean, if it is just like, which another thing Kyle said that got cut, but if it is just like an attention play, like that, just having those eyeballs on something is valuable in itself. So, somebody could squander that just the way that people squander Super Bowl ads all the time too. But TBD.
I know. And I guess the most amazing part of the entire story is that we've been focused on it for a week and a half, and still everybody can remember what it is. And it's not like, wait, what egg? What are you talking about?
Right.
We're all kind of
in a month from now, it's going to be too long. Like it's close. It's very close,
the Super Bowl is coming. So I have a feeling it's going to coincide pretty neatly with
we'll see. All right.
It's going to be like Bud Light pop out and be like, watch our ad on the Super Bowl.
I used to do the Bud Light Facebook page, and
I'm sorry.
It was actually great. It was like a long time ago. Yeah. That was when I used to work at an ad agency and it was our client. And it was back in the days when like you could just post one thing on Facebook. You'd be like, it's Bud Light o'clock, and you would get like 15,000 shares. It was like 2012, and I don't know.
You were still allowed to ask people to share things.
Yeah, it was just a totally different world.
It was. All right, last question, then I will let you get to your other thing.
Yeah.
What is your platform of choice?
Instagram.
Instagram all day, that's it.
That's my life. I mean, I think if I was to choose a platform that I couldn't live without, it's Instagram. That's like where I go to like meet people. It's where I go to like find cool stuff. It's where I find most of my story ideas. And I don't think I could live without it. I mean, media and journalism is very on Twitter, but like my personal life is so on Instagram, and my story ideas are on Instagram. So yeah, that's my one. I mean, it's problematic and Facebook is problematic, but
Well, everything has a problem to it as well.
yeah.
But, so do you find, is it more plugged into culture?
I mean, I think Instagram defines culture now, and it's so tied up in everything. Like, I mean, it's so tied up in influencer culture, but it's also just so tied up in how, especially young people, socialize and communicate that it's, I mean, yeah, like I think it's the most like relevant social platform.
Awesome. Well,
So.
I want to beat the clock here. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
making
thank
time.
you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is awesome. And thanks again for making time. I'll be following your stories and seeing what happens with this damn egg.
Thanks. Yeah. All right.